Kia ora everyone and welcome to the ACE RMO 2026 Northland webinar. My name is Sam and I am the ACE RMO consultant. So today we're going to start off with an opening karakia and then I'll give everyone just a brief outline of today's webinar.
Whakatakateo ki te uru, whakatakateo ki te tonga, kia mā, kina ki ta, kia mā taratara ki tai. E hia, ke ana, te atakura, he tio, he huka, he hohu, tihe mauri ora.
Great. So a big thank you for joining today's session. It really is great to have you all here. Before we move into our panelist introductions, I will run through what you can look forward to this afternoon. So there will be an intro video to Northland and Whangārei Hospital, and our panelists will take you through a presentation that will cover off some key information about their district and opportunities that they have available. You will also be able to hear directly from our district representatives and PGY, ones or twos, and they will be able to share their experiences working at the hospital and also give you a bit of insight of what you can maybe expect on a day-to-day. Towards the end of the session, there will be an opportunity to ask questions and have them answered. So just a reminder to those that have joined, you will have a Q&A icon or a chat icon above your screen. You're more than welcome to post your questions throughout the session, but just to note that we will take a moment towards the end to answer those together. I just wanted to say that really this is a great opportunity to ask your questions and have them answered directly on the spot. So don't hold back if you do have any burning questions or perhaps something that wasn't mentioned in the session and you're wanting more information about that. Please post your questions and we will go through those together.
Kia ora, I'll start. My name is Luke Claris. I'm lucky enough to be the RMO unit manager here at Te Tautokorau. Pass it over to Thomas.
Kia ora, my name's Thomas. I'm PGY2, currently working at Whangārei.
Kia ora, I'm Chavi, I'm PGY1.
Kia ora, I'm Adam Mullen. I'm a nephrologist and the Director of Clinical Training.
Kia ora, I'm Lisa, I'm the Chief Medical Registrar.
Great, thank you so much. And a huge big thank you from ACE and me personally for you taking the time to be here this afternoon and share this valuable information with our attendees. I know that time and capacity is really precious, so we really do value having you here.
Kia ora, ko te ati awa tiwi ko Jess Radovanovich tōku ingoa. I'm Jess Radovanovich. My father's family is from Taranaki, my mother's family is from Waipu here in Northland, and I grew up in Northland. I first started working for what was then Northland DHB in 2004 as a physiotherapist, and went away and did medicine after some years and am back again now as a PGY1. I started on general surgery as my first run of PGY1, and even though I was familiar with the hospital, it was still pretty daunting prospect, really steep learning curve, but the team here has been really supportive. We have a pretty flat hierarchy here. Everybody's really approachable and the team environment just works in a way that I haven't experienced anywhere else. And the highlights of the general surgery run, I guess, are getting to do the real work of medicine. It was my first run. I really liked the opportunities to go to the suturing clinic, to go to theatre. I held cameras a number of times and assisted with operations, which I think is pretty rare as a health officer in some of the big hospitals. And the increasing complexity of our patients blows my mind a bit, but makes every day really interesting and different. I have a great cohort of PGY1s, 2s and 3s. It's really great having such a diverse cohort. We've got people here from all parts of the world and I've really enjoyed getting to know them as friends as well as colleagues.
Kia ora mai tātou, ko Francis Bradley tōku ingoa. I tupa mai whānau mai I Kaitaia, engari no tā wāhi o ku whānau, no Āwherika ki te Tonga, no Kotarani Airani Motua tāne. Tū ana hei mataora I te hohipere o te Whangārei pai, arā ko Whangārei. I tēnei tau, ko ngā huringa ki te hohipere, ko te tari hauora me te tari poka. Sino pai kia hau wenei o ngā huringa o ko te hohi pere katoa, nā te mea ngā kau mahana ngā tangata, hei whakaako, hei awhiawhi, hei tautoko i te haerenga kia tū hei tākuta, kia mahi āringa, kia whakaaro me pēhea tātou te tiaki i ngā whānau i ngā whaiora. Nō reira mena hia koe ki te taimai ki konei, ka tautoko ngā tākuta katoa, ngā nehi, te mea i a koutou.
Kia ora, my name's Ruben and I'm a medical registrar at Whangārei Hospital. I did my university training at Auckland Uni and subsequently did my final medical student year at Whangārei as a trainee intern. I've done PGY 1 to 4 up here, so I've done medical and surgical runs. The runs that have probably stood out to me have been my placement in the renal department here, and also I was lucky enough to spend 3 months up in Kaitaia. So I've worked in the medical department for the last year here. It's a really cool department to work in. Everyone is incredibly helpful and supportive in and outside of hours. It's a really easy place to settle in.
Hello, my name is Bianca Roslow. I'm one of the medical registrars. I did my training in Scotland in a variety of rural hospitals, and I decided to come to New Zealand after FY2. So I thought Whangārei was the perfect place because of the rural setting. I'm really interested in rural medicine. Northland also has a lot of beautiful beaches and a lot of things to do. I started here in geriatrics and I'm now working in acute medicine. It's really well supported by both the other registrars and the medical consultants. Every day is really varied. We see a lot of high acuity patients, and I think as a junior doctor it's a really good place to come and learn and see pathology that we just wouldn't see back in the UK.
Tēnā koutou, Bulawanaka Talofa, kia rana ko Daniel Whiwhita tōku ingoa. He urio no ngā puhi me tonga. He tākata tau tuarua ahau ki Whangārei Hospital. So I trained in Auckland University and did my last year as a TI up here in Whangārei Hospital, and then stayed on to finish my house officer years. I'm currently PGY2. So I guess why I chose to work in Northland, the first thing that comes to my mind is he aha te mea nui o te ao. He tangata, he tangata, he tangata. So what is the most important thing in the world? It is the people, it is people, it is people. Honestly, the people here are amazing, not only the colleagues, but also our lovely community. You feel constantly at home when you talk to kuia and kaumatua. You're constantly laughing with the aunties, cousins, and you're admired by the potential in our rangatahi, and you are inspired by our beautiful pepe. We have a really supportive working community that's not only the doctors that you work with, but also the different staff that you're involved with, the nurses, the ward clerks, the cleaners, the HCAs. Everyone is really involved in the patient's care and also involved in your own well-being, and they really care about you.
The people that I get to work with every day make the job. I love the friendliness of the hospital. You feel like you're part of one big team.
And I'd definitely consider coming back here long term.
One of the main things that sticks out about this hospital is how friendly everyone is.
Mena, kei te hia koutou, ki te ako, ki te mahi, ki te tuku I te aroha, tēnā mauria mai tō mana tō tapu, tō whakapapa kia tiaki mai, kia manaki mai ngā whaiora whānau me te hapori o te tai tokerau. He tino a tāhua tēnei rohe, he taonga I ara ki te taimai ki te mahi, honotahi ki ngā kaimahi me ngā whaiora. Nō reira, tēnā, hara mai.
Cool, thank you. So just a little bit about the region in general. So our catchment area starts from Kaiwaka and goes all the way to the top of the North Island, Kakeanga. So we have 4 hospitals located in this region. So one in Whangārei, obviously, Dargaville, Bay of Islands and Kaitaia. Obviously Whangārei is the largest one with 309 beds. And then we've got Kaitaia and Bay of Islands with 25 and 31 respectively, and then smaller ones outside of Whangārei and Dargaville. We provide a lot of community-based outpatient and mental health services across this region. Some specialist services like radiation and rheumatology services are provided from Auckland or through visiting specialists travelling to Northland. And we do have a new Linac facility which will be open very shortly to provide radiation treatment in Northland. There is a new hospital build scheduled to start at the end of 2026, hopefully. So our population is estimated at 203,000. That's last year, it's an estimate. It can fluctuate due to summer months. We do get a few people that come up on holiday in Northland. So Whangārei has the highest population at 101,000, which is 50% of the region, followed by the far north and Kaipara. It tends to be significantly older, the population up here in north, with the national average older than national average, about 21% are over the age of 65. Te Tai Tokerau has a much larger proportion of Māori and a lower proportion of Pacifica compared to the national average. Obviously, it's quite rural and there are high rates of deprivation throughout the region. Our population has some of the highest rates of coronary artery disease, diabetes, lung cancer, chronic respiratory disease, stroke and asthma across the country. So why come to Northland for your PGY1 years? I think work-life balance is one of them. We offer some of the best beaches in the country, lots of stunning walks around, lots of stuff to do, particularly like diving and surfing and fishing. Most of our RMOs seem to get out and do that sort of stuff outside of their working hours. We're also just not that far from Auckland if you want to go and enjoy that metro lifestyle as well. There's plenty to do in the middle of town if you're walking and socialising. So I think it's a great spot to start your training. So you'll be close to the action with small teams in Whangārei when you come to work here. There's a wide variety of services and plenty of opportunities to learn and improve. For the 2 years that you're here as a PGY1 and 2, you'll spend more time through the services, particularly in our high regarded ED, Peds and O&G departments, where you work along side by side by consultants. You work in an environment that's about supporting your development. You get to work alongside specialists who provide access to further study and take advantage of a workplace that rewards those who want to go above and beyond. So some of the benefits we have on site, so there's an RMO lounge, there's an on-site clinical library, there's a free on-site 24/7 staff gym, there's on-site cafeterias. You'll also have professional experience, some social working conditions, great training and hands-on learning. So part of your training here, where you work in a close-knit clinical community, so a little bit less formality due to the smaller cohort numbers in Northland. So you get great access to senior medical staff that may not be possible in some of those larger regions. That is a diverse region with demographics of a higher proportion of Māori than most other regions, a large geographical spread and small rural communities. Access to CMO and ACMO for information transfer and feedback sessions throughout the year, which is provided as part of the protected teaching on a quarterly basis. There's a pilot program for developing individual cultural competencies based on the Takaranga Cultural Competency Framework. We do hold an annual careers event evening to give RMOs and PGY1s and 2s the opportunity to attend and get a scope of the different vocations and training pathways that are available. In Northland, you will be attached to your peers or pre-vocational educational supervisors for your first 2 years of training. They'll stay with you throughout that 2 years, and they're there to help support your transition to a junior doctor. They provide educational supervision, some pastoral care. They're great to talk to about career planning, and they do one-on-one meetings, quarterly meetings, and they come from a range of different specialties, so they can provide a lot of information. So the PGY1 runs that we have up here are Gen Med, general surgery, renal, stroke, rehab, urology, and orthopedics. PGY2 is when we get into the more specialty runs, so you have your CBAs or community-based attachments, medical admitting, ENT, emergency medicine, pediatrics, obstetrics and gynecology, acute care of the elderly, psychiatry and ophthalmology. There's regular house officer teaching, which is held on a Tuesday and Thursday between 12:30 to 1:30. There's journal clubs and grand rounds that we hold on a weekly basis. So rosters vary across all the specialties. As a PGY1, you'll work as part of a general house officer roster, which is split between the Gen Med and Gen Surgical services. So a typical roster for a quarter will have 4 long days, weekends, maybe 3 to 4 a quarter, and it will be a combination of either 2 long days, or 2 consecutive long days, or 2 consecutive short days. There's a swing shift, and there's approximately 2 of those per quarter, and they sort of run between 10 to 2:30 each night on each service. And then there's no nights for the first 6 months in your PGY 1 year. We are committed to vocational training up here at Te Tokoro. These are some of the specialties that have accreditation in Northland. So you've got anaesthetics, ENT, general surgery, intensive care, paediatrics, renal, emergency medicine, general medicine, geriatrics, orthopedics, psychiatry, and neurology. We provide, as I mentioned before, excellent hands-on, well-supervised training in all these areas. We have close links to the Auckland region, who also provide tertiary care, and many subspecialists do outreach clinics in Whangārei. We also have close links for educational purposes. We do have positions available for basic and advanced trainees, and most of the accredited runs in Northland. Selection criteria, we're not holding interviews. If you're interested and would like to provide more information as part of your ACE application, feel free to contact the RMO unit at the website at the address. We'll forward you out a questionnaire that is simply what we would potentially ask you in an interview anyway, and you're free to answer to those questions however you like. We're interested to hear about your reasons for choosing why to come to Northland. What do you see about the benefits of training away from a large centre? What you think you can do to contribute to equity in terms of Māori and Pākehā in Northland, and how you contribute to healthcare in general across the region. Application dates they're open now, and they close on the 3rd of July. Standard, along with everyone else. Offers are made on the 31st of August, and we'd expect acceptances by the 7th of September. Thank you for listening. And now I'll pass over to the RMOs to talk about a day in life of what they do here.
My name's Thomas. I'm a PGY2. I am from Whangārei originally. I first came to the hospital here as a TI, and I've been here for PGY1, now PGY2 as well. PGY2 here is split into, it's 4 runs, 4 or 3 runs. So we have to do a community-based attachment, we have to do a relief run, and then we either do a 6-month run or 2 3-month runs. So for me, I'm currently doing a medical admissions job where I'm working in ED alongside the med regs admitting patients. And I've just come previously from a psychiatry job, which is working in the inpatient unit. I'm then going to go to hospice for quarter 3 and doing palcare, and then quarter 4 will be relief. So PGY2 so far has been really interesting. It's quite different. Chubby will tell you a bit about what PGY1 is like. Working at Whangārei, I think it's amazing. I really would recommend it to anyone. It's got a lot of pros. It's quite a small hospital. It's got a really good kind of rural feeling culture, while still being big enough that you actually get to see quite interesting cases, and you get to see quite reasonably specialised medicine, and work alongside subspecialists. You get offered a lot of stuff you can do that you might not at bigger hospitals. For example, now the job I'm doing, I'm working alongside the medical registrars. So when they're doing their ED job, I'm basically, although not as trained as they are, I'm doing the similar job as them, but just very well supported. So yeah, I think definitely would recommend coming to Whangārei as a PGY1, having done that, and then as a PGY2, it's great. I plan on, me personally, I want to do psychiatry, and I've just put an application through here for the reg job next year. That's, as Luke mentioned, that's a training that I can do entirely here in Northland. So if you are interested in staying in Northland long term, coming here PGY1 is a great way to get your foot in the door and potentially just stay here and do your entire training if that's something you're interested in. Otherwise, I know lots of people who have worked here for a couple of years and then moved away and felt like they got a good base doing their first couple of years here.
Yeah, when I was here last year, Thomas was my house officer, so that's the kind of I guess generational, well, not quite generational, but chronological level of people that you see, and it does feel quite familiar after a while.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I started here in 5th year, obviously 5th year, 6th year, and then is PGY1, so clearly something clicked in it. But I reckon, talking to some of my colleagues who've come up from Otago or Auckland but had never been placed in Whangārei, what they say, which I think is probably more relevant maybe to some of you, is that basically what some of the doctors in the video said, that it's a really friendly place to come. And I think PGY1 can be a little bit confronting. You know, you start off your first shift and all of a sudden nurses are coming up to you to sign prescriptions and, you know, review patients and, oh, patient's getting sicker, you know, what do you do? And suddenly you're there and you're doing it. And I think coming somewhere like Whangārei, for me at least, one, it was familiar obviously, but two, I think knowing that people here genuinely feel like colleagues, like the other doctors around you, they don't feel like they're there to give you jobs and hassle you. They genuinely feel like colleagues and you're working in that team with them, as opposed to just being sort of an admin person or a pencil pusher, which I think some of my peers in other hospitals, big hospitals, might feel that way. Day in the life, I mean, I've come off 3 months of Gen Med and onto ortho, so kind of polar opposites in terms of workflow. And as a PGY1 in Whangārei, you usually end up doing 2/4 of a medical specialty or medical run and 2/4 of a surgical or different specialty. So for me, that's going to look like Gen Med, ortho, Gen Med again, and Gen Surg. Some of us are doing urology, some of us are doing, you know, other sort of Gen Surg ortho mix. So yeah, it can vary. It's again, like I think some PGY1s might think surgical specialties can be a little bit daunting, especially coming in. Maybe, you know, your seniors are in theatre or in clinic, and it might feel like there's not really anyone that you can sort of go to kind of back you up if you're making decisions on the wards. But in Whangārei, I feel like that's not really the case. Most of our registrars are quite responsive. Our bosses are really friendly and approachable, and the friendly med registers are always there as well as a backup if you need them. So anything that can scare you about the job, Whangarei's usually got a good workaround. So keep that in mind when you put your applications in. And if you want an environment that's as friendly as it is hardworking, then you should come here.
I mean, I'm Lisa. I'm the Chief Reg. I have been here for 6 years. I'm British trained, but I came here mostly because they offered me a job. But I had stayed because the hospital is an incredible place to work. As a Med Reg, we do spend a lot of time supporting the house officers. We have a 24-hour on-call phone that anybody can call if they're looking for help. I think the other thing that Whangārei offers is excellent teaching. There are 2 protected teaching sessions a week, some which are sort of, I would say, book knowledge, and then some that are provided by Med-Regis that is more practical knowledge, you know, how to survive night shifts, how to prioritise your workloads. And then also there's a massive consultant body here that want to teach and want to be engaged with developing house officers and registrars, which I think is incredible. There's not a single boss in this hospital that I would pick up the phone and call. And I think that's all the way from every level. You are encouraged to always ask for help, ask for advice. And that's, I think, unparalleled anywhere else. And it's really friendly. You know, we are one big team, really. Yeah, really friendly.
I wish I had what more to say. So yeah, look, I think it's a really exciting time to come to Whangārei. The hospital's growing. There's lots of services coming here. We're repatriating lots of stuff from Auckland, such as the radiotherapy department, and there's lots more surgery being done here. We're doing everything now from AV fistulas to bariatric surgery. It's expanding and expanding. I think the medical education unit's growing as well. We're likely to have education fellows joining us. And we've got teaching for PGY2s coming soon, and we're really strong with GP rural hospital placement. So that's a big bonus if you're interested in rural hospital medicine, GP. We've got a lot of availability to those CBAs, a lot more than you will necessarily get in Auckland. So yeah, lots of things happening. I think, yeah, hopefully despite the growth and everything, the friendly, approachable, hands-on positives will continue. A lot of research happening, just to add that in as well. If you've got an interest in research, don't assume that you need to stay in Auckland to do that. We have a growing amount of research happening now, some of the top recruiting sites in Australasia for a range of studies. So, you know, if that's something that floats your boat, that's something that you can do here as well.
That was really informative. Thank you so much for sharing. Can you please go over what you will be looking for, CVs versus cover letters?
In terms of CVs and cover letters, the CVs are going to be standard for most applicants. We're just going to look that you've done your runs and what runs you've completed in terms of your electives and placements. And cover letters, we're looking, again, it would be what we mentioned previously in the slides about the questionnaire and looking to why you want to come to Northland and what you would offer and how you think Northland would be a benefit to you. And those are the main things that we look at.
Great, thanks, Luke. And then I wonder if we could touch a little bit on accommodation and parking as such. Is it easy to find accommodation? Is there any sort of support around for those new PGY1s looking for accommodation? I see smiles on the screen.
Yeah, there's basically a rotating list of rental houses that are just passed from doctors to doctors as they move along the PGY1 years. So there's a big WhatsApp chat that everybody posts. There's probably one new rental property a week that goes on there. And aside from that, there is housing around in Whangārei. Rent is not super expensive, it's climbing. But yeah, I don't think I've not met anybody who's worked here who's had any issues finding a place to stay.
And the places you will find will be way nicer than other comparable places in other bigger cities for that cost. So that's definitely something worth considering. If you're getting a few friends together and you're all up here, then definitely worth looking into a decent flat for you guys because it's heaps.
In terms of parking, yeah, there's on-site parking. It works out to $1 a day, is it?
Yeah,
it's $1 a day.
Yeah, maximum of $1 a day, and you pay for when you do actually come in. Yeah, there's street parking as well, but there's a big car park. It is down a hill, so
Good way to get your cardio in the morning. Walk up.
Yeah. There's also the protected parkings that we have for the long day people. And we work quite closely with our facilities team to make sure that RMOs have access to those car parks, particularly if they're full. We'll contact them to see if we can organise something else for them to be close to the hospital for those after hour shifts.
Thank you. We have another question also asking about what do you look for when ranking applicants? So I guess, Luke, apart from the cover letter and the CV that you've mentioned, is there any other components that you take into account?
No, I would say no. I think we look at every application with the same eye. Everyone's entitled to apply for Northland. So we look at everyone's application closely to see what they've said. And like I said before, we do tend to look at their interest in coming to Northland. That's the main thing for us. So we want to think that if you're intending to come to Northland, we'd hope that you'd actually, after you finish training and stuff, you may come back here in your SMO years and be a consultant and give back to the community. But that's what we're hoping to achieve. So if that's what your goal is, to actually come back and work in Northland long term, then that's great. We sort of have an eye towards that.
And also I would say, make contact with us if you're really enthusiastic. Either come and see the RMO team, or ring us and have a chat with us. If you've not been here as a TI or student, you're welcome to do that.
Yeah, we're more than happy to accommodate people that want to even organise Zoom or Teams chats with me to go through stuff a little bit further if they've got any other questions.
Sounds good. Thank you, Luke. And team, do PGY1s get any financial advice given the jump from TI to HO income?
You do still have the existing supports that you leave uni with. So often around the time where you leave TI year and into PGY1, things like indemnity insurers, your income protection, all that sort of thing, they start to reach out to you. KiwiSaver people start to reach out to you, and a lot of those services usually offer free financial advice as part of just a no obligation kind of meet up with a financial advisor. In terms of like in-house financial advice, I guess a lot of it is probably kind of sourced from people in the same position as you.
Yes. Yeah, but because of the sort of community family feel we have here, people are very happy to just talk openly.
Is there anything specifically that you were kind of thinking in terms of like financial advice per se, or was it more just about managing budgets and stuff when you have a bit more money to play with? Because it's very, I guess, situation dependent as well. Everyone's got a different way of managing money, so it would probably depend on what kind of financial advice you were after.
And I guess if there is further conversation around that or more context to that question, there is the opportunity to contact Luke, you had mentioned earlier, yourself directly. So you can continue to have those conversations.
Absolutely. And if there's concerns, we can always refer people on to EAP. So our EAP has a very structured support system, and part of that is financial advice if you need it.
Thank you. Is there any final comments or any final advice that you want to give our applicants that are going through this process?
I just think if you really can and you want more knowledge, then do reach out to us. Like Adam said, more than happy to answer questions that you're not going to get through a presentation. We try to be as approachable as we can in the RMO unit to make sure that we give you the best advice that you can get before applying. So yeah, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you.
For the person who wanted to know about the psych house officer job, feel free to email me. I can put my email in the chat.
Also happy to be emailed about any run specific questions.
Oh yes, sorry, I did miss that one. So curious about the psychiatry HO run.
I mean, I can talk to it briefly if we've got time. The psych house officer job I really enjoyed and wanting to do psych myself. The job is based around you're working in the inpatient unit managing physical health. So you work alongside physical health nurse and an in-house GP who's there a few days a week. Because it's managing physical health of psychiatric patients, you're largely working with physically well people. So it's not super busy, which does, if you're interested in psychiatry, allows you to actually do quite a lot of psych work. So the team there is super friendly and supportive, and they're keen to teach. So I had patients that I could be their primary psychiatrist for, really, in a supported environment. And for me, it also allowed me to meet all the doctors and everyone in the department, get my foot in the door. And otherwise, if you just want a relaxed job and you're not interested in psychiatry, it also can be that. If you just want, the hours are pretty chill. You can often leave early, to be honest, because there's not a lot of work to do if you don't want to do extra work. I think it's a really good run, really good PGY2 run.
Thank you. What is the social scene like for PGY 1 and 2s outside of the hospital?
Yeah, I mean, Whangārei is a lot smaller. It's not really it's not like metropolitan city like Auckland, but there's lots of stuff to do. There are bars. There's a new bar opened up a couple of years ago. They're called Bear and Loathing. It's Fear and Loathing themed. Then there's a couple of pubs that get pretty popular. Most Friday and Saturday nights there will be people out and about, but again, it's not you're not going to expect something like Auckland, Dunedin levels, but otherwise there's plenty of outdoorsy stuff to do. Yeah, I mean, you meet a lot of people in the hospital. If you don't have other friends around the town, you can meet a lot of people at the hospital who run a lot of groups and activities together. But yeah, Whangārei is full of friendly people anyway, so it's the kind of place where you will easily make friends. You'll easily find stuff to do. Outside of work, I never get bored, really. There's always stuff to do.
Just to piggyback off that as well, anyone who says that Whangārei doesn't have a social scene, I think has a lack of imagination. Because if you have any kind of interest, like you like food, you like fine dining, you like going out, you like shopping, you like hikes, beaches, walks, trips, like Whangārei's got all of that. We've got a pretty good fledgling food scene, actually, in my opinion, compared to a lot of regional places. And not only that, but because your PGY1 cohort is about usually 20 strong, you end up really, you get like this. And so a lot of your social events will be, flat parties, going out to pub quizzes, going to Hot Pot after this or the other little houses. So there is heaps of stuff. And I think anyone who tells you that there's not just hasn't come here and tried it.
Sounds good. Sounds like I need a visit.
Every year.
Yeah. We've got another question. If we get an offer from Whangārei, how do we go about organising accommodation with other house officers? Like, is there any sort of maybe WhatsApp groups that are created, or what's the best way for them to connect?
I think the best way is to get in touch with the RMO unit, because they already know all the other RMOs that are here. And I think for a lot of us that were coming up from TI, we kind of already knew which other TIs would be coming up as well. And I think like the ones who were coming up from Dunners, for example, they knew that they were all coming up, so they flatted together. Some of our TIs flatted together, and then some of us had partners and other things, so we kind of organised it ourselves. If you're sort of by yourself and you don't know anyone else who's coming up here and you're keen to get involved with the flat, I still think the best thing would be to email Luke, and he'll put you in touch with one of us, and we can add you to the group and some stuff once you've got your offer.
We do get quite a few people approach us with available rentals to the training yet. So if you're struggling and you can't find anything, like Cho said, it's best to get in contact with us and we can put you onto the right people.
Thank you. There was a next question following that. How about Otago grad?
Yeah, like I can say this. Yeah, we really keen to get a good mix. So we do try and do that. I mean, I think everyone's looked at on their own merits, but absolutely Tango grants are very welcome.
Yeah, my cohort was 50-50.
Yeah, I think it's really nice to get, that's one of Whangārei's strengths is the mixture of people that come, so.
And we have some IMGs that come as well, which add their own
Yeah.
sort of rich experiential wisdom to our cohort too.
Yeah, so big thumbs up.
One more. Does the number of applicants greatly exceed the number of spots, or is it similar?
ACE obviously sends the ranks, applicants that rank everyone. So obviously the applicants exceed the number of spots we have available in Northland. For next year, we've got a confirmed number of 20 that we have positions to appoint to. So as I said, your CV and cover letter, and if you make it known that you want to come to Northland, those are the ones that we'll look at, and that gives you the greatest chance of being ranked by the district.
Cool, thanks, Luke. So I guess it's important for those that are really keen to get in touch and complete that questionnaire as well on top of the application.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, if any of our attendees do have any further questions after the session, if it's got to do with the ACE application at all, you can contact me. I am your go-to, and I'm here to help and support you through what may seem to be a daunting experience, but hopefully I can make that a little bit easier for you. My details are available on the ACE RMO website. Luke's details were, or the RMO unit's details were available in the presentation, but also if you didn't catch that, you can head over to the ACE RMO website under the employer information tab. The district details are there, so you can always go back to refer to that. Before I say my goodbyes and thank yous, there is a last question about where we can find the survey. So I'm assuming it's the questionnaire that we mentioned. So if they get in touch with you, will you just forward that to them to complete?
Send it out to them. Yeah, send them out to them directly. If you contact our shared mailbox, we'll send it out to you as soon as possible.
Okay, well, I hope everyone has a really great evening, and a big thank you again from me. It's been really enjoyable, and a lot of the information was really valuable, so thank you.
Kia hora, te marino, kia whakapapa pounamu te moana, he huarahi mātou i te rangi nei, aroha atu, aroha amai, tātou i a tātou katoa, hui e taiki e.
Great, thank you everyone. I hope everyone has a good evening, and I will see and speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Sam.
Bye. Bye.